Oh, I'm still mad. So you know what? We're just going to lean into the suck today. We're going to talk about everything going wrong with not just the Anaheim Ducks, but with hockey in general on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade. I'm currently the apparently multi-talented and multilingual PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Yeah, look, see, it's Espanol. Also covering Los Patos de Anaheim for the past 5+ seasons on the Locked On Podcast Network. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get $150 back in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. I'm still mad, folks. I am still pissed off. Not just about the game on Sunday, not just about the uneven, inconsistent road trip, but I'm just pissed off in general. This Ducks team is wearing thin on my patience right now, and there are a plethora of reasons why. At the end of the podcast, I'm going to kind of have a continuation as to what I talked about on the previous episode as far as Dia de los Muertos night, which is why I still have the Patos de Anaheim jersey and why I'm going to continue having this jersey for the rest of the week because I'm a proud Mexican, okay? I'm going to say that right off the bat, and I'm probably going to say it every single episode this week. I am a proud Latino. I'm a proud Mexican, and more could have been done, not just for the Ducks. No, but league-wide. That'll come later. Let's talk about players that have underperformed this season on this segment. There's been a plethora of players that have done as well as they possibly can, but there's been countless others that have severely underperformed. So we're going to start with defense, and we're going to start with two of the defensemen that have underperformed more than others. And I hate calling players out, but I'm pissed because Cam Fowler has been pissing off fans for the better part of the last 2 to 3 seasons. Yes, he is one of the stalwarts of this Ducks franchise. Yes, he does have that leadership role, but he has underperformed big time for the Anaheim Ducks this season. Looking at the defensive pairings for the Ducks, and this according to Natural Stat Trick, all the defensive pairings have been underperforming quite a bit. I mean, there's not one pairing that has had a Corsi 4 5-on-5 above 50% except for one. Ironically, that's Cam Fowler and Pavel Mintyukov across 10 games. They've been doing pretty well, but that's pretty much on the shoulders of Pavel Mintyukov because looking at some of the other pairings, he's been doing pretty well as far as skating backwards and generating a good amount of offense, but at the same time, using an active stick, doing a decent enough job of generating good zone starts. That I like seeing from Pavel Mintyukov is he has a great tendency to corral the puck, at least keep the puck in his zone. So he's been carrying some of the defense. Then on the other side, you have Cam Fowler, who has been turning the puck over. Radko Gudas has been one of the worst defensemen as far as giving up pucks. In fact, he is currently leading the Ducks in giveaways this season. He's got, that's a high number. High number for Radko Gudas. 5-on-5 so far this season. He has given up 17 giveaways. That's not good. Oh, but it gets even better than that. Yeah, other players that have given away the puck an awful lot this season. Cutter Gauthier has given it up 15 times this season. He's a rookie. He's going to get better. Olin Zellweger has given up the puck a lot this season too. He's given up the puck 13 times. But Radko Gudas, he's given up the puck a couple of times that have directly led to opposing teams' goals. That is not a good look. Radko Gudas has kind of slowed down a bit this season. And actually, that's not really upsetting. That's more disappointing to me because Radko Gudas had a strong finish to last season. And he also looked very good in international play leading up to the Czechs winning the gold medal in the Worlds. So I think I went into this season maybe with too high of expectations for Radko Gudas. And he's come out this season and he's got no points so far this season. Not good. Shots have not been there. Like, he hasn't been aggressive either this season. That's also concerning. The penalty minutes. I mean, he's not doing a whole lot as far as penalty minutes. The hits right now could be a little bit better because he's getting the hits, but he's not even leading the team in hits. Last season, he was by far the team leader in hits. And so far this season, it's not even Radko Gudas. In fact, it's not even a defenseman leading the team in hits. That's Brock McGinn who's leading the team in hits right now. Yes, you heard that correctly. Okay, so I've called out Radko Gudas a little bit. Cam Fowler. It's just been bad across the board. Nothing egregiously bad, but it has been underperforming across the board as far as Cam Fowler is concerned. And here I'm going to go to hockey stat cards here because this is not great. While he's not the worst defenseman on there, actually the worst defenseman on there, there's two of them, Tristan Luneau and Jackson Lacombe. I'll call them out in a second. But Cam Fowler, so far this season, he's been kind of a sieve on defense at times. He happens to be out there when there is a missed assignment and he's not covering on time, or even worse, by the way, is he's just not using that active stick and not getting in the way of plays developing. So Cam Fowler hasn't been as bad as last season, if you can find a silver lining somewhere, but there is still room for improvement. And there are still plenty of shifts out there where he is left high and dry, but also not catching up to defensemen. So I got to call out Fowler a little bit. Tristan Luneau has had a couple of bad games, which is why he was a healthy scratch a couple of times. Jackson Lacombe, I think, had a really poor start to the season. Yes, some of that is injury, but he had a couple of really horrid games to start the season. He's begun to pick it up just a little bit, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. And right there, right below Luneau and Lacombe, there's Radko Gudas, average game score of negative .41. Fowler not too far behind, negative .31. He has looked pretty bad at times. The defense in general has been giving up way too many shots again this season, and we're kind of now skewing back to, I don't want to say the Ducks of old, but I'm going to kind of say the Ducks of old. Look, defensively, the Ducks have been amongst the worst teams in the entire National Hockey League. They have allowed, on average, 35.1 shots per game. That is worst in the National Hockey League. It wasn't this bad a couple of weeks ago, but right now the Ducks are allowing 35.1 shots per game. Next is the Red Wings, a whole shot ahead, 34.1. Then the Penguins, 33.8. So this is really talking about the entirety of the defense, which is driving me nuts, allowing 38 shots, 41 shots, 46 shots. We're entering just a whole new level of sucking and allowing that many shots. It has got to stop. And that includes the last game against the Blackhawks, where the Ducks outshot them by quite a bit. That average went down on the Blackhawks game. Before that game, it was about 35.5 shots per game. Oh, that is about as bad as you can get. All right, we're going to step aside for a second, and we're just going to continue with the suckiness, because why the hell not? So we're going to continue calling out a couple of players and talk about some other disturbing stats to start off this season on the other side. Now a brief word from Indeed. And folks, if you're not using Indeed for your business and coming to hiring, then, you've got to start using Indeed, because we're driven by the search for better. But when you're hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search, but to match with Indeed with their exclusive instant match, which, according to Indeed data and a matching engine, they will help you find quality candidates fast, because they have over 350 million global monthly visitors. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So you know what? Join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Maybe you can get some talent for the Ducks. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Once again, Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. We're also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 back on bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL as well as other sports all in one place. So let's say you get a feeling, a hunch. In the middle of a game, you check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Let's delve into some more sorry stats for the Anaheim Ducks, because I haven't even talked about some of the forwards that have been stinking up the joint so far this season. Yes, I know that Robby Fabbri, I talked about him earlier today. Robby Fabbri is having a not so great season. Not today, but I talked about him in recent podcasts. He's had some good games, some really bad games. Robby Fabbri, so far as the forwards are concerned, has the lowest average game score on hockey stat cards, a negative 0.97. That's almost a -1 per game. He has really risen to the occasion as far as allowing goals this season, because he's done that a ton so far this season. I mean, where is he going as far as the neutral zone and letting players get past him left and right? This has happened way too many times this season. This could be a drinking game at this point. You know, which Duck is going to get left in the dust in the neutral zone? Robby Fabbri, unfortunately, is going to be one of those guys. Penalties. He's been the one player that has taken some fairly bad penalties. I will give the Ducks a little bit of credit, just a little tiny bit. Okay? At least they're not allowing too many power plays. I'll consider that a plus. In fact, I'll even say this. They're one of the least penalized teams in the National Hockey League right now. What? Yes, you heard that right. They're one of the least penalized teams in the league. I hate saying it like that, but I'm going to say it again just for the sake of saying it like that. The Ducks are one of the least penalized teams in the National Hockey League. Right now, the Ducks have had only 80 penalty minutes. That is 27th in the National Hockey League. Oh, but wait. Hold on. Timeout here. So they're not taking a lot of penalties, which means they're not short-handed as much. Well, that part is true. They haven't taken that many penalties. In fact, they've only had 33 minor penalties so far this season. That's amongst the best in the National Hockey League this season. Yes. Let me repeat that. Just why not? One of the least penalized teams. That was a problem for them last season, so at least they're improving in something. Oh, but the penalty kill, that's what drives me up an effing wall. The penalty kill right now for the Ducks is anemic. Anemic, I think, is the right word I'm going to use here, because on the penalty kill so far this season, the Ducks are an abysmal 72.4%. That's amongst the worst in the league. At least they're not as bad as the Edmonton Oilers or the Minnesota Wild or the Islanders. Oilers, 60%. Wild and Islanders tied at 65.2%. Hey, the Ducks, 72.4% on the PK. Oh, that is bad. Maybe they can actually score a couple of power play goals. Oh, the power play is just as bad, by the way. PK, 72.4%. I haven't even looked at the non 5x5 stats for those players that I mentioned, but it is just as bad. How about the power play? Yeah, I'm going to call out the power play again. I called them out last episode. I'm going to do it again because the power play right now for the Anaheim Ducks is an even more anemic 13.9%. Not as bad as the Buffalo Sabres at 8.6% or the Leafs. Yeah, the Leafs, 10%. I don't know what the F is going on there, but the Ducks are right there towards the bottom. They got a 13.9 power play percentage, despite the fact, you ready for this? That they have amongst the most power play time in the National Hockey League. They are third in the NHL for power play time on ice per game. Number one is the Boston Bruins, 6 minutes, 56 seconds. The Isles are second, 6 minutes, 9 seconds. The Ducks are third, 5 minutes, 51 seconds. So the Ducks are third in the National Hockey League as far as power play time on ice per game. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Other teams are okay giving the Ducks the power play because they're not going to do a freaking thing about it. That's why they're getting that much power play time, because they're just going to not score on it. As far as power play opportunities, the Ducks are right in the juicy middle. They've got 36 power play opportunities so far this season, and they haven't cashed in a whole heck of a lot. So what's been the problem with the special teams? Two things. I'm going to start with the penalty killing. The penalty killing has had missed assignments left and right. One of those players that I mentioned, Radko Gudas, has had some missed assignments. Another one of those guys that I mentioned that has been on the penalty kill that has not done a good job is Robby Fabbri, who at times has just kind of stopped skating around when they are on the penalty kill, or even worse, when they're on 5-on-5, but at least move your feet. So that has been an issue as well. That's as far as the penalty kill is concerned. As far as the power play is concerned, stop going around the horn. Stop passing. At least get some shots on goal. I understand completely why the Ducks fans were booing like they were the previous game. There was a big reason for that. Oh, that reason is because they were not doing anything on the power play, especially that first unit. That first unit has been about as bad as any first unit in the National Hockey League. That's bad. Ooh. I'm fine, guys. I'm really fine. So special teams, just kind of breaking that down even a little bit more to break down on the special teams. The only special teams that have had anything worth a damn so far this season is Troy Terry, Cutter Gauthier, Trevor Zegras, but more specifically that second power play unit that has Zegras and Gauthier on that same line. Zegras, for what it's worth, has at least been trying to pass the puck as much as he has on the power play, and at least looking for some kind of opportunities, which leads to another kind of weird stat that I'm going to get into right now, and that is missed shots and shots off the post. So there is one player that has hit the post more than others. According to official NHL stats so far this season, Cutter Gauthier has had 3 missed shots off the post. Nobody else has more than 1. So Gauthier has had 3 off the post. I would consider that bad luck. What I do not consider bad luck is the amount of shots that he has taken that has been wide. Cutter Gauthier is leading the team in shots that are wide by a wide margin. 29 missed shots that have skewed wide, and at least 1 over the net. So far this season, I'll tell you who's second place. Second place on the team is Troy Terry with 17 missed shots. Cutter Gauthier doubles that number. 34 missed shots. So while I have to give Cutter Gauthier some credit for taking all those shots, he has got to learn to aim for the net a little bit better. That's an average of 3 missed shots per game. Yeah, I understand you are young, and I understand that you're being aggressive, but I think now's the time to kind of work on your aim just a little bit, kind of get some more shots on net. please get some more shots on net, because 34 missed shots, that's kind of a lot. And I hate calling out someone that I think that highly of, but I think 11 games in, part of it is being a little bit snake bitten, part of it's bad luck, but also part of it has just got to be get some pucks on net. Make the goalie do some work. At the very least, get it towards the pads. Get it towards the pads, get some offensive rebounds going, generate some type of rebound offense, generate some more high danger chances, because that's what's going to help win you games. Those greasy goals, those rebounding chances. When you are missing the net as much as Cutter Gauthier has, that doesn't do the team a whole lot of good. It just whizzes wide, or it hits the glass and goes out of play, or it misses high and goes out of play. So those are a plethora of things that the Ducks just need to work on in general. Okay, we're going to head to the second intermission right now. I'm going to complete my thoughts on everything that has been sucking with the Ducks this season, and some final thoughts on a continuation that I talked about from the previous show. We'll get to all of that on the other side. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. You just pick more or less on at least 4 players for a shot to win 100 times your cash. That's right, up to 100 times your money, because Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, where we're at, Florida, Georgia, and many more. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first period and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. And they now offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So what are we thinking? Are we thinking that Troy Terry is going to score more than half a goal this week? Well, you could try all of that on Prize Picks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download Prize Picks today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back to episode number 951 of Locked On Anaheim Ducks. Once again, you're locked in with Jason Hernandez. So just to give an overall as to what I've been talking about the last couple segments. So is a lot of this on the players? Yes. Is some of this on the coaching? Also, yes, both things can be true. Is some of it bad puck luck? Also, yes. All of those things can be absolutely true. But there's got to be some improvements on both sides of the puck. Defensively, the Ducks need to get a little bit more active. They need to utilize that skating ability. I mean, the Ducks can be a fast team. Some of those younger guys can be fast. So they've got to utilize that speed. As far as just getting the stick on the ice and utilizing a good active stick, that can help tremendously and, cut out some of those shifts where they're just not moving their feet. So there's a lot of improvement on the defensive side as far as that is concerned. As far as the offense, look, there's bad luck as far as shots that are off the post or shots that are missing. I mean, they do need to improve on their shot accuracy. That is going to be one thing that the Ducks need to work on for the rest of the season. But they've got to get better puck movement in general, especially on the power play. They cannot just rest on their laurels and let other teams get set up. Or just take the shots. Just take the first shot available. Go for those rebounds. I mean, it helps to get those greasy goals. A goal is a goal is a goal, no matter how they come. If you're a team that can work the puck down in the zone, if you're a team that can work the puck off of those rebounds and just jam in those shots or get those in close shots, that is going to help you a lot. If you're not afraid to get into that area, that is also going to help. So Ducks, be more aggressive around the goal crease. Get those greasy goals into the net. Once you start getting a little bit more, not hustle, but once you get a little bit more aggressive around the crease, then those dividends are going to start, and the Ducks could possibly see a higher goal output if they just go for it around that high danger area. So that's something that they do need to work on. While at the same time, keep the puck out of the crease or keep it out of those high danger chances, and just don't rely on Lukáš Dostal saving your butts every time. You notice Lukáš Dostal is completely immune from this podcast because he's been saving their butts time and time again. This is going to be a continuation of what I had talked about previously on my last podcast as far as Dia de los Muertos night and could the Ducks do more. And I did mention that the Ducks did not have a Spanish language broadcast this season. That's something that I think shouldn't have gone away, and it was missing a little bit. I was actually looking forward to seeing if the Ducks were going to have a Spanish language broadcast, and they in fact did not this season. So it is disappointing. Something else that was disappointing this season is that the Ducks did not wear their Dia de los Muertos jerseys on the ice. They had done that in years past. In fact, this jersey that has hung up, the Ducks wore that Patos de Anaheim jersey a couple of years back on their Dia de los Muertos night. One of the better jerseys that they had done. In fact, the jersey that I got was from Ryan Getzlaf's final season. I might just get off my lazy butt and actually put some numbers on this. But, you know, my question, should I leave it blank or should I actually put a number and a name on it? And if I do, I think I want to put 15 El Capitan on it because he's still one of my favorite Ducks of all time. Ryan Getzlaf, still one of my favorite memories is, you know, the overtime game-winning goal. Ryan Getzlaf, El Capitan, still one of my favorite calls of all time over the last few seasons. But for them not to wear not even a warm-up jersey. I know the league is going away from having warm-up jerseys on the ice, and unfortunately, that's because of politics. I'm just going to come out there and say it because, you know, while there are reasons that the league went away from having certain jerseys on the ice for warm-ups, it takes away from nights like this. It takes away from having those jerseys on the ice for a night like Dia de los Muertos. It unfortunately just takes away from it because that was one thing that I always looked forward to, was seeing those specialty jerseys on the ice for certain nights, like Dia de los Muertos night, or for some teams, Indigenous night. And now we don't have that. So not having the Dia jerseys on the ice, it does take away a lot. So I'm not so much upset about the Ducks for this one. This is where I'm more upset about the league on this one as a whole. And even looking across the league this season, it seems like the league is going away from Spanish language broadcasting. In fact, as of right now, there's only a small handful of teams. There used to be about 7 or 8 teams that had some Spanish language broadcasting. The Los Angeles Kings, who, by the way, they're the ones that are playing Minnesota. The Kings do not have Spanish language broadcasting because I never saw a release from the Kings that they were going to have, you know, 8, 10, or 12 Spanish language broadcasts this season. There was never a release for 24-25. That's upsetting, especially a team like the Los Angeles Kings. To not have that take place, that is disappointing. What else there is, the Washington Wizards and Capitals, they're going to have 10 either Capitals or Wizards games in Spanish, and that's it. And this is in an article from the Washington Post. There's even fewer teams just in general that they hardly have a whole lot of teams that do Spanish language broadcasting. In fact, just looking at the teams that have Spanish language right now, Vegas, they just recently had a push to have Spanish language broadcasting, which is pretty cool. Other teams that have Spanish language broadcasting, it is not a long list, folks. I just mentioned Vegas. Vegas is a team that has Spanish language broadcasting. Of course, Florida, they just won the whole thing. They won the Stanley Cup last season, and they've got a very large Hispanic population. So does the Chicago Blackhawks. They have a handful of games that are on Spanish radio themselves. And that's it. That's the list. Washington sometimes, Florida, Vegas, Chicago. That is the entire list. That's disappointing. In the last 5-6 years, in the time that I've been covering the Ducks, there have been less and less teams even doing a handful of games on Spanish language. So it's just upsetting and disappointing that we're now going away from that. I said it last podcast, I'll say it again. As a proud Latino, it's disappointing because that is not growing the game, especially in Southern California when you have a large Hispanic population. So I'm hoping that the league, or even just the teams locally, I hope they can remedy that and get back to at least having a little bit more Spanish language representation next season. And you know what? I'll be damned if I don't do my efforts on this. I'm going to continue, as long as the Firebirds allow me, I'm going to continue to do bilingual calls on the PA for as many times as we do Dia de los Muertos nights. So I don't know if you agree with that, but please let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, what have you. You can follow me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter X is at LO_Ducks. And don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, ad-free on Amazon, also on YouTube. We're also on SiriusXM. Thank you for making this your first listen. Go ahead and make Locked On NHL your second listen of the day. And you could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the evening or day. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to one another. And Ducks and Patos fly together.